Chosen ones, listen up. That private investigator thought they were about to crack some mundane mystery, but what they stumbled upon shook their entire existence. They went digging for dirt and found something they could never prepare for. Your divine, otherworldly power, your spiritual gifts didn't just blow their mind, they left them utterly scrambling to understand how one soul could radiate this much magic. Their assignment was simple. Unearth your secrets, report your weaknesses, but the deeper they dug, the more the facade of. Instead of uncovering skeletons, they discovered layers of transcendence, truths that they were unable to quantify. Your life is not a series of events that can be dissected. Rather, it is an intricate design of resilience, wisdom, and unshakable authenticity. The very energy that they sought to undermine overwhelmed them, making their mission feel as though it was still futile. They believed that they were chasing shadows, but instead, they discovered the sun. It is possible that they were hired by someone close to you, someone who had previously shared your orbit, but was unable to handle the. When confronted with power that cannot be replicated, jealousy transforms into insecurity. The individuals who were responsible for this search were not looking for answers. Rather, they were searching for justification for their resentment. However, what they discovered was not something that could be weaponized. How can you fight against a truth that is so unyielding? A spirit that is so magnetic that it disarms every intent to diminish it? Their words failed them. Their report was devoid of the accusations that they had hoped to deliver. Instead, they were left possibly even regretful. Is it a coincidence that I am sending you this message right now? No, it is not. It is one of the divine laws of the universe and heaven. Yes, the law of attraction. You feel extremely lucky that I am sending you this message, don't you? Before moving on to the message, please like the video to help spread this message to others, dear soul. Additionally, you must receive and accept the message with love. If you write, "I have received and accepted it with love" in the comments and seal it with 987, you will maintain the balance of giving and receiving. Don't forget to stay tuned and subscribe for our other messages. Says Archangel Michael. Now we can slowly move on to the message. Gifts, your unshakable essence, stood as evidence of the divine. No strategy, no scheme, no hands could obscure that. Your power silences even the loudest of critics and leaves them grappling with truths they weren't ready to face. Drop a comment. Their accusations hold no weight if your essence speaks louder than their words. They came armed with questions, digging for cracks in your life that they could exploit. Hired by those who feared your light, they sifted through moments of vulnerability, searching for a narrative they could weaponize, but couldn't find a narrative they could weaponize, but the truth. It became more and more apparent that this was not a search for justice or the truth. Rather, it was envy that was cloaked in investigation and sent by those who were unable to bear the weight of their own shortcomings. However, what they discovered was not your fallibility, but rather their own guilt reflected back at them. Your life became a mirror that they were unable to avoid as they unraveled the threads of your existence. They discovered something that was unmistakable evidence of gifts that defied explanation. The pieces did not fall into chaos. Rather, they fell into alignment. Strength, your unshakable authenticity, your ability to rise against odds that would break lesser spirits. These were not flaws, they were proof of a power rooted beyond the physical, beyond comprehension. The more they tried to expose you, the more they exposed their own inadequacies. And then came the irony that shook them to their core. In the shadows of their research, the trail led back to those who hired them. It wasn't your life marred by darkness, it was theirs. The ones orchestrating this campaign were steeped in deeds so malicious they were unable to confront their own truths. The investigator, who was bound by their task, discovered lies, betrayals, and schemes that had nothing to do with you, and everything to do with the guilty hands pulling the strings. There are forces that move around you, some sent to destroy, others appointed to shield those who conspired against you. They underestimated what one unchangeable truth: your life is not theirs to dismantle. Their schemes, born of envy and fear, collided with the unseen hand of divine intervention. every move they made to harm, you only set the stage for divine intervention. Stage for their own exposure, for God works in paradoxes. What was meant to ruin you was repurposed to reveal the darkness in them, and the strength in you, the investigator they sent, thought they were following orders, unaware they were fulfilling in a higher one. They unraveled not just their assignment, but the intricate protections woven around you by a power greater than any human intent. The layers of deceit they unearthed were not your flaws, but the shadowy deeds of those who sought your downfall in their attempts to find fault. They became witnesses to a truth too profound to deny. You are divinely protected. The Word has already declared it. Psalm 91 verse 4 says, "He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge." This isn't an abstract promise, it's the reality you've lived, even in moments when you felt vulnerable, when the whispers of betrayal crept close. You were never truly alone. The forces meant to harm you were thwarted before they could touch your essence. God's hand turned every attack into a shield, every plot into a revelation. Their investigation was no accident, it was ordained, a stage where falsehoods unraveled and truth stood unshaken. While they sought to dismantle your life, it became undeniable no scheme can succeed against one protected by divine will. Their betrayal became your vindication, and in the chaos God's sovereignty was revealed. You've been under watchful eyes, both earthly and divine. While those around you may shift, falter, or disappear, the hand of God over your life is unyielding and unchanging. Those sent to harm you failed because they never accounted for the eternal shield surrounding you. Every attempt to undermine your purpose, every plan to derail your path has been thwarted by the one whose protection cannot be measured or broken. Their strategies crumbled because your destiny is not theirs to control. Trust in His timing, even when it feels unclear or delayed. Every step you've taken has been purposeful, even when you couldn't see it. God's plan for your life is precise, weaving together moments of challenge and triumph into an unshakable foundation. Human protectors may falter, but the divine is steadfast. Psalm 12 verse 7 to 8 declares, "The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore." This is not a suggestion, it's your reality. Even when you've doubted, even when you've questioned, you've been held in His unbreakable grip. Let this truth take root. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. You are not simply enduring trials, you are rising through them, carried by the assurance of a God who never abandons His own. When betrayals arise, when the world feels heavy, remember this: your enemies are fighting battles they cannot win because they're not fighting you alone. Take a moment and declare it over your life. I am protected by God. Type it, speak it, own it. With those words you affirm what has always been true, that your steps are guided, your life is covered, and no force seen or unseen can undo what He has already secured for you. And now, let's raise a toast for the chosen ones among us. Here's to the untamed, the unshakable, the ones who refuse to bow or blend in. You see the world for what it is, a stage full of spectators, while you are the playwright, the lead, and the director rewriting the script. With every step you take, you are not just chasing dreams, you are the dream. You are the one who dares to look beyond the noise and see an uncharted horizon waiting to be claimed. The world does not require more sheep. It craves titans who are blazing with energy and alive when others sleep, carving paths that ordinary eyes could never dare to imagine. You are the path, and in this vast chaotic universe, you are the path. Under a moon that is brighter than neon, we stand not as followers but as legends in the making. This is not an open invitation. Rather, it is a challenge and a call to the few who feel a fire stirring just by reading these words. The door is ajar, but it will not remain that way for long. The obsidian inner order is a sanctum that is not for those who are weak of heart or pretenders. This is a crucible where masks are shattered, where raw, unfiltered truth courses through the veins like molten gold. This is a crucible where masks are shattered, where raw, unfiltered truth courses through the veins like molten gold. Clock the seats in our star chamber vanish, reserved for those bold enough to seize their destiny without a second's hesitation. If your heart pounds with recognition, if you feel that the static hum of greatness waiting to erupt, the choice is clear. Click the link in the description and step into the shadows where brilliance is born. This is more than a chance, it's a coronation of your true self. Don't wait, don't wonder, answer the call and join us, because legends don't ask permission, they create it. Every step they took deeper into your life revealed truths that shook the foundation of their purpose. At first, their assignment appeared to be straightforward. They were to dig into your history, find weaknesses, and report back. However, as they dug deeper, they discovered more unease settled into their spirit. The more they dug, the more they saw that your life was not just ordinary. It was aligned with a purpose that defied their comprehension. Their mission became a conflict of conscience, as if with each discovery they were crossing an invisible line drawn by a higher authority. Your actions spoke of discipline but it wasn't just your decisions that made them uneasy. It was the undeniable aura of protection that surrounded you, the unyielding pattern of resilience that they couldn't explain away, and the simplicity of their task that unraveled in the face of something much greater. What they started to see wasn't just a life, it was evidence of divine orchestration, and that realization weighed heavily on them. They started to feel as though prying into your life was not just an invasion of privacy, but rather a betrayal of something sacred, and the guilt that they felt for doing so grew louder with each passing moment. The whispers of their own uncertainties turned into an internal roar that they were unable to silence. Their assignment, which had once been approached with precision and certainty, now felt like an act of hubris. Who were they to question a life that was so obviously set apart? Who were they to challenge the divine hand that was shaping your path? Every piece of evidence that they gathered became a reflection of their own inadequacy, a reminder that their motivations were rooted in manipulation and malice, while your existence stood as an embodiment of truth and integrity. They realized too late that their investigation was an affront not just to you, but to the forces that protected you. What they thought was control turned into submission. They weren't tracking in you, they were uncovering their own flaws. They weren't prepared for the gravity of what they found. Your existence wasn't bound by the mundane. There was a thread connecting each challenge, each triumph, each decision, a thread they couldn't sever. It wasn't just your actions, it was the undeniable presence of something greater guiding them, and the more they pried, the more they realized they weren't uncovering weaknesses, they were bearing witness to a force far beyond their understanding. How could they, ordinary and flawed, intrude on a life so clearly marked by divine favor? The turmoil inside them began to grow. Each discovery felt less like evidence and more like transgression. The assignment became a burden, a constant reminder of their unworthiness to even attempt to disrupt what had been divinely orchestrated. Every document they touched, every piece of your life they reviewed felt heavy with meaning, an unworthy gaze into a narrative they were never meant to see. The very act of pursuing you felt like defiance against the hand that protected you. Their guilt wasn't just personal, it was spiritual. They knew they were part of something misguided, and their role became suffocating. By the end, they were no longer investigators, but reluctant witnesses, haunted by the realization that they had meddled with something far greater than themselves. Your life defied the limits of their comprehension. What they thought would be a straightforward dissection of your humanity turned out to be a revelation of your divinity. Each challenge you overcame was not simply a survival story, but a testament to the higher force that guided you. Your own smallness became painfully evident as they stood before the vastness of your gifts, your ability to rise above storms that would have crushed them. Their intent, which was initially sharp with judgment, became dulled against the overwhelming evidence of your authenticity and power, and then gradually became more powerful. Came the realization that hollowed them out. Their task wasn't just futile, it was wrong. To pry into your life was to trespass on something sacred, something untouchable. With every step, they felt the weight of their own biases, their pettiness, their ignorance. How could they reduce someone like you, a living testament to grace, strength, and divine favor to a case file. Their assignment wasn't just a failure, it became a reflection of their own inadequacies. They left their task not with triumph, but with humility, not with answers, but with shame. You, unbothered and unwavering, stood tall as the proof that no human scheme can touch what is divinely protected, and they walked away, altered, forever humbled by what they had no right to question. Every detail they uncovered dragged them deeper into a truth they couldn't ignore. What started as skepticism, fueled by the arrogance of their assignment, began to erode with each revelation. Your life didn't fit their framework. It wasn't a series of random events or lucky escapes. It was a testament to a force larger than their comprehension. Each moment they dissected only magnified the undeniable. You are not merely enduring this world, you are transcending it. Their guilt began as a whisper, but it grew louder with every step. What they once approached as a job became a confrontation with their own inadequacies. The strength they envied in others was no longer abstract, it was standing in front of them in the form of your life, your power. You weren't scrambling for control, tethered to chaos like they were. You moved through storm with clarity, as if guided by an unbreakable connection to something eternal that terrified them as much as it humbled them. But guilt was only the beginning. Guilt transformed into awe into respect, and respect into reverence. They began to realize that they weren't simply investigating you, they were learning from you. Even unwillingly, you embodied the very things they had spent their lives chasing, but never grasping: clarity, resilience, and unshaken purpose. They no longer resented your strength. They craved it. They no longer doubted your connection to the divine. They envied it. You exposed their smallness, not through humiliation, but by simply existing as you are. By the end, their task was not a failure, but a revelation. They didn't leave with answers, they left with conviction. What they had once sought to break, they now sought to understand. You didn't just earn their respect, you transformed their understanding of what it means to truly live. What began as an assignment turned into a reckoning they never anticipated. The investigation was never about you, it was a mirror turned toward them. With every detail they examined, with every truth they encountered, their certainty unraveled. They were not exposing you, they were exposing themselves. Each step into your life revealed the sharp contrast between your strength and their fragility, your clarity and their confusion. They began to see that this wasn't just a task, it was a test of their own character. And they were failing. Your resilience was not the kind born of circumstances, it was forged in something deeper, something they could neither define nor diminish. As they followed your path, they were forced to confront the cracks in their own foundation. How could they be so bound by fear and doubt to challenge someone who appeared to be untethered to the chaos of the world? Their assignment started to feel less like an inquiry into your life and more like an inquiry into their own. They saw their limitations in every choice you made, their fears in the shadows that you had already faced and conquered. And what they envied the most was not just your strength, but the meaning that you brought to the table. Infused your every action while they drifted through life chasing validation and purpose. Your existence reflected a confidence they had never known. Your life was more than survival, it was intention. You didn't just overcome, you transformed. This realization left them hollow and yearning. They no longer sought to expose you, they wanted to understand you. In the end, their assignment became their awakening. You didn't just shift their understanding of who you are, you shattered their understanding of themselves. Your life compelled them to confront their own anxieties, their own shortcomings, and their own yearning for the kind of meaning that you embody. With each and every breath, those who had hired them sat with quiet confidence, waiting for what they believed would be your downfall. But as the evidence began to unfold, the tide began to shift. The story that was being told was not about you, not about flaws or failures, but about them. Their lies, schemes, and calculated attempts to destroy you were brought into the light, leaving them exposed in a manner that they had not anticipated. The investigator didn't just deliver facts, they delivered justice. What had begun as a mission to discredit you turned into a revelation of the very forces that sought to harm you. Their plans, meticulously laid out in secret, were dismantled piece By piece the whispers they spread, the shadows they cast were turned against them, exposing their malice for all to see. The ones who sought to make you fall now stood on the edge of their own ruin, unable to defend the truth that burned through their deceit. This wasn't a simple shift in perspective, it was a complete reversal. The same stage they built for your humiliation became the platform for their downfall. Every word spoken, every document unveiled proved not your guilt, but their desperation. They underestimated you and overestimated their power to control the narrative. They thought they could bury you with lies, but instead they buried themselves in truth. As the investigator concluded, the weight of justice was undeniable. The ones who plotted against you were left scrambling, their masks ripped away, and you stood untouched, a testament to the fact that no weapon formed against you could prosper. The tables weren't just turned, they were obliterated, leaving nothing but the undeniable truth of your strength and their disgrace throughout history. Greatness has often been hidden in plain sight, concealed beneath layers of the mundane, until the appointed moment of revelation. Think of Moses, raised in Pharaoh's household, mistaken for an ordinary child, but carrying within him the destiny of a liberator. His divinity, his connection to the divine was not immediately apparent, yet it was undeniable. When the time came, or King Arthur, dismissed as a commoner, unknown to the lords and warriors of his time, until the moment he pulled the sword from the stone and proved what had always been within him. These are not just stories, they are echoes of the way truth reveals itself. When the world is least prepared, your story is no different. Those who sought to investigate you to unearth flaws and weaknesses were blind to the depth of your gifts, like Moses's divinity cloaked in the eyes of an exile, or Arthur's sovereignty obscured beneath humility. Your light was hidden until the precise moment it was meant to shine. Their mission was not merely futile, it was destined to expose them. Not you, the investigator, became an unwitting witness, not to what they expected, but to a power they couldn't rationalize. What they thought was ordinary unraveled into extraordinary before their very eyes. This concealment is not weakness, it is divine strategy. The greatest forces have always moved in silence until the moment of revelation. Your gifts, your purpose were shielded until the right time, not because they were lesser, but because they were greater. And when the truth emerged, it did so with the weight of inevitability, like Moses before the Red Sea, or Arthur claiming Excalibur. Your moment of unmasking didn't just reveal you, it redefined the narrative. They weren't prepared for what they uncovered, because greatness by design remains hidden until it cannot be denied. You are undeniable, your presence, your gifts, your essence, it all speaks louder than any skeptic's words, louder than the whispers of doubt from those who cannot fathom your light. You don't need to prove anything, because your very existence is the evidence. Those who seek to question you, to undermine you, find themselves confronted by a power they can neither explain nor contain. Your spiritual force is so profound that it shifts the air around you, leaving those who cross your path unable to walk away unchanged. Even the skeptics, those who come with intentions to discredit or diminish you, leave as witnesses. They may not understand it fully, they may never even admit it aloud, but in their hearts they know there is something about you, something unshakable, something that cannot be defined by their limited perspective. It's not just what you do, it's who you are. You are a testament to the divine, a living, breathing reminder that there is power greater than any human intent. Stop questioning your worth, stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Your gifts were given to you for a reason, and that reason is bigger than the fear or envy of others. You are here to leave an impact, to touch lives, and to reveal truths, even when doing so causes others to feel uncomfortable. This is not arrogance. Rather, it is alignment. When you walk unapologetically in your purpose, you don't just live, you transform the spaces you occupy. Those who doubt you are those who misunderstand you. None of this changes the fact that your presence is evidence of something greater. Embrace it without apology. The world does not require you to explain who you are. It requires you to be who you are in a way that is both powerful and complete. When you do, you become a force no one can deny. They walked away in silence, their purpose unraveled, their certainty shattered. The investigator once so assured of their task, now carried the weight of something they couldn't fully comprehend. Their findings weren't just about you, they were about a reality they never knew existed. As they stepped away from the fragments of their assignment, one undeniable truth settled over them, pressing on their mind like a revelation: they are not of this world. That is your power. You are not bound by the limitations others project onto you. Your presence alone is a disruption to mediocrity, a challenge to the narratives built by those who fear what they cannot control. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to prove yourself. The evidence is in the way others react to you, the way their perceptions shift. When they encounter your energy, you move through the world with a force that is unyielding and undeniable, leaving an imprint that lingers long after you've gone. Now it's your turn to own that truth. Your story matters, not just for. Share it with the world, and let the world know how you have stood unshaken, and how your gifts have affected lives. Your voice is not only a mirror of your power, it is a catalyst for others to awaken to their own. Speak, and let the ripple begin. But for those who cross your path and cannot help but be influenced, share it.